पिछले कुछ दिनों में यूनानिस्तान से जो खबरें आ रही हैं वो बहुत ही अलार्मिंग हैं और बहुत ख़तरनाक हैं। जैसा पहले हम रिपोर्ट कर चुके हैं, दर्जनों के हिसाब से पाकिस्तानी शहीद या जाँ बहक होने का अंदेशा है, जिसके अंदर बच्चे भी शामिल हैं। और ये हुआ बेसिकली सदर्न ग्रीस का एक आइलैंड है क्रीट के नाम से, उधर। To discuss this further and to understand what is happening in Greece with these shipwrecks, I'm joined by a dear friend, Elvira Krithari, and she's spoken to us before as well. Elvira, as I was telling our viewers, this is something that is recurring in Greece, but specifically tell us about this shipwreck and the circumstances around which it happened.
Good evening from Greece, Ali. Thanks for having me. So this is a situation that's happening a lot, especially after 2015 in Greece. It's very common to host immigrants, refugees from the east, and they choose very often this route, the Mediterranean, the Eastern Mediterranean route from the Middle East through Greece to reach preferably Italy. So their final destination usually is not Greece because of the procedures, of the asylum procedures that are taking place here. So this was a tragic incident, as many others have happened before, with people being on boats. This was a wooden boat, even very. The construction of these boats is very fragile. And that's why, because of the bad weather and the bad weather conditions and the sea, it's very often we have to face the shipwrecks. The shipwrecks are happening near the Havdos Island. So let me make it clear for you. This area is in the southeast. Is the southeast point of Greece, and by the way, Havdos is the southeast point of Europe. So it's the borders, let's say, of Europe in the Mediterranean. Havdos is a very small island, very near to Crete. Crete is the biggest Greek island. So the shipwrecks the boats, aim to reach Crete, and from then maybe to take another boat and go straight to Italy. It's a long distance, and many people don't make it. So at that night, Friday evening to Saturday morning, there were 4 shipwrecks that happened in the seas of Havdos near Crete, with many people. We don't know exactly the number because there were different stories said by different people that they were in these boats. Some say some hundreds. Some said there were around 100. So we don't know exactly how many are the missing people. And this is the case always with shipwrecks. We cannot count and we don't know how many people are really missing. If you remember, there was another big shipwreck last year in very close to Greece, to Kalamata, to the Peloponnese. It was in a boat that started from Libya, that 700 people were in that boat, and they all went missing. A very few managed to survive, and there were some implications with the Greek Coast Guard authorities back then. It was a big story that hit the news globally because it was one of the most tragic shipwrecks that happened lately in Greece.
You also spoke on this. You spoke to us on that shipwreck, but it's startling to think that up to 700 people on that. What's more interesting is that this has become almost this passage as the shipwreck passage off of Greece.
Exactly. This is the Eastern Mediterranean route, a route that is chosen because it's cheaper. It's very important why people decide to go through that way to reach Europe, and it's the most dangerous route, and that's why it's also cheaper for them. So there were many people, Pakistanis among them, but also other nationalities. Greek authorities report that 5 were found dead. 5 people were found dead already, and the rest are missing. There are some people that were rescued. One is in hospital, and also Greek authorities, they say that they managed to identify a smuggler between them. So usually this is a bit weird because some people act like smugglers, but this is not really the case. So what they do usually, the smugglers in the coast, like from wherever these boats start, let's say it was Libya or let's say it was Turkey, they assign some people from the boat, refugees or immigrants themselves, to act like smugglers. So either they don't pay for their tickets to this route, or they have some other perks, let's say, in order to to do this work for them. What they do is they take care of the boat to reach the final destination, be it in Greece, be it in Italy, and then they communicate with the smugglers at the final point. So Greek authorities say they arrested already one of them, and he is accused of smuggling people. But we are still waiting to see if this is the case, because I have to remind you that the smugglers, the so-called smugglers that were arrested in the shipwreck of Pylos, the big shipwreck that we were talking about previously, they were freed of charges. After all, they were not the smugglers themselves.
So tell us very quickly. You're mentioning the shipwreck last year. I know you mentioned last year that some of the people accused or that survived that massive shipwreck were indeed smugglers. What happened to the Pakistanis who survived? Were they deported to Turkey or Pakistan? Did they make their way to Europe? Because as you said, Greek isn't the destination because the rules that apply in Greek after the EU-Turkey deal, Turkey-Greece deal are different than Italy, where people can land and then just head into Europe directly. In Greece, they're kept in these islands for God knows how long, some even years. The Syrians, for example, Lesbos, for example. So there are different rules that apply, but what happened specifically in that incident, the Pylos one, where the Greek Coast Guard was also accused of capsizing the boat?
That is the case also in the shipwreck of Pylos. Most people were kept in the Malakasa camp. This is a camp in central Greece. It's not in the islands. Greek authorities try to evacuate people from the camps in the islands. There was, maybe you remember the infamous Moria camp in Lesbos. It was demolished. Actually, it was burnt out in a big fire that started in 2021. This was the biggest camp in Europe back then, and it hosted more than 3,000 people, or even more at some time, at some specific point. So they try to relieve the islands of these camps. So they relocated people in camps in central Greece. These people, the shipwreck in Pylos, they still stay, most of them, in Greece. They are kept in camps waiting for the procedures to be completed. It's a long procedure. The agreement with Greece and Europe is to keep people in the edges of Europe, which is Greece, not letting them inside Europe. So many of them are still stranded in the camps all around Greece.
Finally, I know you've just returned from Syria and this whole migrant crisis in effect. Syria and the migrants or refugees from Syria had a huge part to play. And they used Greece, they used Bulgaria, all entry points that they could find. Now they're coming from the Eastern Mediterranean route because the Turkish route has closed. Do you think the removal of Bashar al-Assad in Syria will stop the flow of refugees on one hand, but then you have other places like Pakistan which are blowing up internally, where you have a stream of economic migrants trying to make their way through these dangerous routes? So what happens next in this whole story of the refugee crisis or migrant crisis?
Migration will never stop. The reasons are many. They are environmental, financial, political, and people will still continue to move into better places where they can find a better way of living. Now, with Syria specifically, something interesting happened when I was there. The current authorities asked us to say to the Greek government, to thank the Greek government for hosting Syrian refugees the previous years, but also ask them to now encourage them to go back, because they want their people back to build the new Syria, as they said. So we're expecting, it remains to be seen if there will be a new influx of Syrian refugees or immigrants to Europe. For sure, those that were close to Bashar al-Assad's regime, maybe they will try to leave for other places. But for now, we don't think that we will face the same influxes that we had in 2015 and 16, that were like hundreds, thousands of people trying to reach the Greek shores, the Greek islands.
Right. All right. Thank you so much, Elvira. I know you're still recovering from your trip to Syria, and we always appreciate having you on the show. It's been a year and a half since we last spoke, by the way, on that big shipwreck. So stay safe and continue doing the amazing work you're doing.
Thank you, Ali. Thanks for having me.
तो there you have it, नाज़रीन. अलवीरा कृथारी हमें ज्वाइन कर रही थी यूनानिस्तान से, और बता रही थी कि ये कितनी ख़तरनाक एक सिचुएशन पैदा हो गई है पाकिस्तानियों के लिए और इमिग्रेंट्स के लिए, सीरिया से हों, जहाँ से भी हों वो, टू रीच यूरोप। और ये ईस्टर्न मेडिट्रेनियन रूट जो इन्होंने लिया हुआ है, ये कितना ख़तरनाक है इन सब कार्रवाइयों के लिए। आप क्या समझते हैं? बताएं मुझे कमेंट सेक्शन के अंदर। डू लाइक, सब्सक्राइब एंड शेयर दिस कंटेंट। अपना ख्याल रखिएगा। अगली बार तक अल्लाह हाफ़िज़।